Let's get started by looking at the user interface of AutoCAD 2010 and just finding our way around. You can see immediately in front of you, I've got this file open, and this is open in what is called model space. So the whole area that you can see here that is black is for drawing in. The model space itself is set up so that we can draw in a one-to-one scale, which is extremely useful. It means that we're not having to worry about, real and actual sizes of lines. That if I want to, I can draw my building, which is 20 meters long, and it can be created as that. You don't have to sort of worry about drawing at a 1/100th or a 1/50 scale. It's very, very useful in that way. So I have my working area here, as I say, called model space. And I also have two other tabs here, which are referred to as paper space. And if I just mouse over one of those, you can see here that I've got a tab that appears that shows me a little bit of a preview of what I'm going to find inside one of those paper space tabs. And we'll come to talk about those a little bit later. For the moment though, let's have a look at the rest of the interface. Now the other part of the interface, where we have all our tools, is up here at the top and is referred to as the ribbon bar. Now the ribbon bar has several different tabs inside it. So at the moment you can see here I'm on my home tab. If I click again, you will see the insert tab appear, and then the contents for the insert ribbon is shown. And I can move along, I could click onto my view tab, and that takes a few moments there to come through. And you can see we now have the contents of the view tab. If I move back to my home tab, you'll notice that this is also divided into several sections. One of them over here called Draw, one called Modify, one called Layers, Annotations, Blocks, Properties, Utilities, and Clipboard. And pretty much you'll find that in actual fact, for about maybe 80% of what you're going to do on a day-to-day basis, everything you're going to need can be found in actual fact from this Home tab on your ribbon bar. If you've used a previous version of AutoCAD, you may well recognize many of these icons that you can see here, which have previously been in toolbars. Well, really, all the ribbon bar is just an updated version of the toolbars. If you look at it in that way, you'll be absolutely fine. What I also have with these toolbars is the word, for example here, draw, with my drawing toolbar, and then a little arrow. And if I click that arrow, well, what you'll hopefully be able to see, and I'll pin that there as well, is that there are an extra set of tools within that drawing tab. Now they're not normally shown, so there you go, you can see it's just disappeared back up there. They're not normally shown, and in actual fact when I press that down arrow, they appear, they stay for a few moments, and then when I mouse away, unless I pin with this little clipboard pin here, unless I pin, when I move my mouse away, they will disappear. So it may well seem that they disappear very suddenly. That's because you haven't pinned them. So whenever you're working with any of these sections within your ribbon bar, do check and make sure that if there's an arrow, that you'll have extra tools. So you may not see the tool that you're looking for immediately. Do bear that in mind. Other areas that we have are up here. We have some quick icons which can be used for creating a new drawing or opening drawings or saving a file. We also have the undo and the redo button, and also the option to plot your drawing at any time. So these are the quick options just up here at the top. I also have, coming over to the right hand side, an area where I can type a keyword or phrase, and that's my help. So that's actually been brought out and brought to the forefront, and at any point I want, I can just type a phrase into there, and AutoCAD will go off quite possibly onto the internet to find the answer, but then we'll come back and display that in a standard web page for you. We also have various options for you to communicate and for the program to communicate with, but really you'll probably find that you won't interact with these at all. And really we've got an option here to do a search. We've also got an option here to work with the communication center, and really the communication center is for checking for updates for the software. So it's worth doing that every so often, but quite often you'll find that will just happen automatically for you. Now, moving on from that, very much in line with what other products are doing with ribbon bars, you'll also see up here we have a very large A with a down arrow, and that's our menu bar. So if I left click on my menu bar, you'll see that now appears, and we have a whole new section appear for us. And we have options in here again. We can do new and open just like we can do from our quick pick at the top. We can also save as we can do from the quick pick, and we can print. And of course within that print we have options to do a plot or various other things. You can see here we can batch plot, we can preview our plot. We've also got options with our drawing utilities, and also if I just click away from that, we've got options to work with AutoCAD and to change some of the preferences as well within AutoCAD. I also have an option to exit AutoCAD here, which will close the program down. And it's on that point that I should also mention, when you do close your drawings down, please be careful to use the close and the minimize options within the model space and not the ones in the top right here on the menu bar, because what you'll find is if you use these ones in the top right, that will also exit the program as opposed to closing your drawing down. So looking at what we've got at the bottom of our screen here, we still have the very traditional command panel, which I would urge you to keep open rather than minimizing down, simply because it does allow you to, should you wish to type in a command, if you've used previous versions before, you can do so from there. But also there will be certain amounts of data that you will have, that you will work with, such as the area of a shape or the area of a room or the volume of a space that you may well wish to inquire about later on in the program as you work through your examples. And you'll find that it's actually very easy to be able to just come down here to the command panel and copy and paste that into, say, a table, for example. So I like to keep that available for me at all times, just so that I've got that option there. Just below that, we have a coordinate system, our drawing coordinates, which are currently set to imperial. We've also got some of the object snap and the polar tracking options, which can be turned on and off down here at the bottom of the screen. And you'll notice as you mouse over each one of those, a name appears. And if I was to left click on that, I can turn that option on or off. And if I right click, I have the option to go to my settings here. I've also got a quick turn on and off option as well that appears on my right click. The difference you'll notice as well between one of these options which is switched on and one which is switched off is that an option, say for polar tracking, when it's switched on, it will be blue. When it's switched off, it will be... When you look at this, you'll see that when it's switched on, it's going to be blue, and when it's switched off, it will be grey. So it's a very, very quick, very visual way of seeing when you've got an option turned on or off here. We also have several other options down in the bottom here, which are to do with looking at our drawings and the quick view for the drawings. And at the moment, we've only got this drawing open, but what I've also got here is a quick view for my layouts. And if I hover over and leave that, hopefully what you'll be able to see now is a model space, a mono and a colour appear just in front of us there. We've also got options here which are turned on for our annotation scaling and also for the scale of the drawing, which is obviously, because we're working one-to-one, is set to one-to-one. And I've also got options here for workspace switching. So if I left click on that, you'll see that we've got an option for a 2D drafting and annotation, which, because it has a tick next to it, indicates that's what we're working with. We've also got a layout if we're working with the 3D modeling, which is part 3 of this course. We've also got a classic AutoCAD setup and also what they call an initial setup workspace. All of these are slightly different from each other, and I would encourage you to sort of have a look at each one. But remember that if you make changes to your workspace and you're not sure how to get it back again, you can do quite easily from down here in the bottom right hand corner. So moving on from our model space as well, we've also got our paper space, which here is represented as a mono or a colour drawing. And this is really where we set out our drawing and we do our layout for our drawing. And you'll notice that we've got all of the 4 sections of the building here laid out quite nice and neatly on a single sheet of paper. Now, it would also be wise at this point to point out that what we're viewing this paper in is what's called screen space. So that means that even if you've got an A4 piece of paper or an A3 piece of paper or an A2 or a A1 or 0, whatever, it's always going to be depicted at the same scale on the screen. That's the important thing, is on the screen. So do bear that in mind when you're working with this. When you first come to AutoCAD as a default and you open the program up, you will have 2 tabs here. One will be called Layer 1 and one will be called Layer 2. And they will probably both be set to be an A4 sheet of paper. So we will be talking about how to edit those later on, but for the moment, please just bear that in mind. So coming back to our model space here, that's pretty much a tour of the user interface. For the moment, we're going to be talking about working with files next.